Hi, this is Chong Kim. I want to tell you about a new website called Code Wars. Code Wars. Um, okay, I actually saw the site a few weeks ago, and I didn't really think too much of it, but I think they probably made some improvements, or at least when I came back and saw this site again, I was very impressed. So I want to share this site with you and show you how it works. So when you first register, you'll be given a test, and you have a choice of choosing JavaScript or CoffeeScript or Ruby. I chose Ruby, and you're given a a test. Well, actually, you start off as a white belt, and you have different levels that you go to, and I'm at yellow belt right now. And the more you do, the higher your rank goes. Okay, so this puzzle is a sum of two squares. So given a number like 25, it like the sum of these squares, like 25 squared, I mean 5 squared is 25, 0 squared is 0, so if you add them together it's 25. And 3 and 4, well, you know, 9 plus 16 is 25. Uh, and also there's no redundancy, so you don't have 0 comma 5. So you have to make sure you strip those out. So that is what it's expecting, and you're given a template to fill out. Now, if I just run this, I can run this by doing Command Enter. I'll do that right now. When it runs, it shows you the error, and the output is shown over here. No method error, undefined length for nil class. So it's expecting some type of a list because length is a list method. So if I just give it like an empty list, uh, okay, it's running, and now you can see that it actually ran a test, but it failed on a test. So let's actually make this real. Okay. Um, I find this a little annoying. I'm not really sure how to get rid of those messages without having to click on this button. It'd be nice to figure out what the keystroke is. Um, but you're able to do a lot of editing, and it feels like you're in a natural editor. You do Control A. If you're Control A, Control E, or you could do the Command left arrow, Command right arrow. Um, so I think Control K is to delete a line. So it'll Control K would do that. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Okay, Command Z will undo. Okay, so let's figure this out. So um, I want to go through, well, I know that the square root of this number is the biggest number that it'll be. So I could loop through 0. Actually, I start with parentheses. 0 through square root of that number. So I'll just say, just to make this a little nicer, I'll say n is equal to math.square root of that number to I. So it converts that into an integer, so it rounds down. So it'll go through n, and let's see, each do, given the a. Okay, all right, so we have the a, and let's figure out what the b is. So I could do from 0 through, now I'll just say 0 through a. Okay, and because this way we only get one of the answers. Like if it was like 5 comma 0, then I mean 0 comma 5, then the other one is not going to happen. Actually, in this case, it would be like 5 comma 0, and you're not going to see 0 comma 5 because a it only goes up to a. So if a is 0, then it'll never get up to 5. So you'll only get one of the answers. So that takes care of duplicates. Um, okay, so we have a test, and the test is if a squared plus b squared is equal to the number. And if that's true, then we want to have a result and put that in. So a comma b. And I'll just make a result over here. It's empty. And at the very end, I just return the result. Okay, let me make the font a little smaller so it gives me a little bit more room. Okay, so maybe a little bit more. Okay, so let's see this run. It's sending it. It's running. Okay, we should see the results. Okay, it's taking quite a bit of time, and I think it might time out. Okay, so far so good. It passed all the tests, but it says timeout error execution expired. So that means this is too slow. Okay, let me close that. If anybody knows how I can do that without having to click on it, they can leave a comment. All right, so it's slow because it's going through each iteration, and so instead we'll do it a different way. We'll do it by if you know A, if you have A and you have the number, then you can figure out what B is. So you don't have to go through this loop. So let's do that. B is equal to let's look at it this way. So you have A squared plus B squared is equal to num, right? So we want to subtract A squared from both sides. Okay, so that means that we can get rid of this now. And if you want B by itself, we just find the square root. So math dot square root of this. Okay, and okay, that will give us the B, but B is not an integer yet. Okay, and we can get rid of this. Okay, so we found B, and now we want to check if B is an integer, and we can do that by let's bringing up a pry. Like if you had a number like 54.3, and you compare that to 54.3, okay, to I, that's false because the 2i would round it down to 54. But if it was 54.0 and this is 54.0, that's true. So that's our test to see whether or not it's an integer. If b is equal to b dot 2i, okay, so if that is an integer, then we're going to put it in. Okay. Oops. A comma b. All right, we execute. Okay. Test passed for the first one, but not for the second one. And let's put a print statement here to see why. Right after this, I'm going to print out the result. Okay. All right. Oh, so we can see what the problem is. Okay. First off, the problem is that this has to be .2i. We want to store the integer, not the floating point version. Okay. We can see what the problem here right away because there's a duplicate, and we want to make sure that the duplicate doesn't happen. And we can do that by making sure that b is always going to be less than a. So we include that as a test. And b is less than a. Okay, and we can get rid of this print statement and command enter. It's running. Okay, it didn't pass for 0, so let's put less than or equal to a. Okay, let's see. It passed, and we managed to pass the whole suite. So there's a whole bunch of tests, and it passed. So after it passed, you can do command enter to submit this. So this was submitted, and which allows you to see other people's solutions. So there's a bunch of other people's solutions, and you can compare that to your own. And let's see, you can see that it's very similar. You can see the number minus the some number squared, and They do some interesting thing here with the select. So so I think you'll find this very interesting. I highly recommend going to the site and trying it out. So um, this is codewars.com.